Okay. All right. So welcome to Visitor Host Training 2024-2025. Thank you so much for starting the day off with me. I know it's Monday. Hopefully you have had your coffee, or like me, are drinking your coffee. So today's training is like all of my other trainings that I do. If this by chance is the first time that you have sat in one of our support team trainings, yes, we have lots of great information. There's a lot of it, all right, and we have lots of great information. I get the most, and you will get the most out of you all participating with me, all right? So if you have a question, please don't wait until the end. Yes, there's a question thing at the end. If you have a question, ask it right then, all right? Cecilia is here helping me today. So Cecilia, thanks so much for being my person in the room. She is going to kind of monitor the chat when I am talking. And if you have questions, you can absolutely put them in there, or you can raise your hand. All right. You can raise your hand. This probably will not work. I'm just going to let you know, because if you're not on my screen, I won't see you. So you can unmute and say, hey, Chrissy, I have a question, or toss it in the chat and Cecilia will interrupt me. All righty. All right. So we have some brand new members in the room. We have some people in the room that are in core groups. So technically not even in BNI yet. And yet they are here to learn right alongside you. So I always think it's definitely important to start off with introducing the team. Yes, I would love it if your video was on. That does tell us that you are here participating, not working while we're training. That is tough. I will tell you, I am a multitasker. I am a mom of kids and a grandma of many, and I still struggle with that. So being here present with me is going to be very, very helpful. So let's meet the team. Well, we start off with literally the most important members of the team. You all are part of BNI Sozona. Without you, wait, I don't have a business. We don't have BNI. We definitely wouldn't be here on a Monday morning. So you all truly are the most important team members of all. And then we've got our admin team. So for those of you that might not know, we have Jeremy Walsh. If you are on BNI Business Builder and you have been in there, you've been in BNI Connect, Jeremy is all things BNI and computer. The beauty of it is he is now a part of our admin team along with Lauren. And so support at bnisozona.com. That is where you go for anything BNI Connect, any questions regarding Business Builder. My name is wrong. This doesn't work. These are the people that you're going to go to. Support at bnisozona.com. All right. Super easy. Here is Ken. Everybody meet Ken. Ken is our member services director. So how many of you know that BNI is made up of people? And how many of you know that people sometimes do not make us smile, right? Like people have things and it's okay. Well, what we like to say is if it's BNI related, all right, BNI related, and it makes you smile, then we know you can take care of it and handle it. If it is BNI related and you are struggling with something and it does not make you smile, call Ken. Here's the reason I say call Ken. He has been doing this for over 20 years. He does this for regions, not just ours, across the nation. And Ken's only purpose, his only focus is to ensure that all of you are having a great member experience in this thing called BNI. All right. So Ken is a fantastic resource. And yes, you can call him as a member, or you can shoot him an email and ask him a question. And he's fantastic. All right. Ken, don't call Ken if you're having a problem with your teenager. I know that doesn't make us smile. That's not what Ken's for, to be fair. All right. All things BNI related. We also have some amazing support directors from all across the region. We are adding to this team, so there will be more people on this team as we grow. I absolutely love the fact that I do not have to do this business by myself. Bill and I work really well together, and it is fantastic to have a room full of people that are way smarter than us, way smarter than us. We also have an executive team. Cecilia Schreiber is in the house today. She is with Beautiful for Wellness. She is in the Givers Gain chapter, and helps with so many things, and is amazing. So Cecilia, thank you so much for walking alongside me in this journey of BNI. Martha Chinnock represents me. She is BNI in Strategic Alliance, and handles the newsletter, and has formatted all of our resource guides for us. So an amazing wizard when it comes to those things, and loves to help and does a really, really great job at that. So appreciate Martha for sure. And then Stacy is with Babo. It's the first time I've actually said it, Babo Bookkeeping. And she is in 360 Plus, and she is our launch director. So she really works right alongside our three newest chapters, CG Champs, Infinite Connections, and Rainbow Connections. Stacy is a newer addition to the team, and we are, again, I'm super thankful for these three ladies. They really help so much. And then the last, truly least important people on the team are Bill and I. It really starts with the members. You all are the top of that, and then it ends with us. We're privileged to get to do this every single day, and so yeah, that's all I can say. I'm really privileged. October 1st, which is amazing. It's only about 5 weeks away. I will celebrate 14 years as the franchise owner here in BNI, and next February, 20 years in BNI. All right, let's get started. Visitor hosts. I know what you're gonna say, and yet it's true. You all have the most important role. If our visitors come in and they don't have a fantastic visitor experience, what happens? What happens?
Totally don't feel welcome.
They don't come back.
Yeah, they're not gonna come.
They don't feel welcome. They don't come back. They bounce. Yeah. Yes. All of those things, right? And visitors are the lifeblood of your room. They're the lifeblood of your rooms. All right. Almost 20% of the thank you for closed business that is generated in BNI across the world comes from visitors that never apply for membership. Never apply for membership. That's a big number. How many of you in here, I know I can only see a few, but how many of you in here have ever gotten a referral from a visitor? I'm raising my hand. I have. I've actually had a visitor say, you know what, BNI is not for me. I've got somebody that absolutely it is. It is for this person. Susan, so funny. You raised your hand, and so you popped up on my screen. I love that. I was like, cop. Susan's not a cop. Oh, wait. Copper Connections. Yep. It's a Monday morning. It's a Monday morning, everybody. All right. Yeah. So visitors generate Business. I know, more coffee, Chrissy. Visitors generate business for us all. Visitors, when they have a fantastic experience, want to be a part of us. All right. Want to be a part of us. So you all are a part of this amazing visitor host team. You are the first people a potential new member encounters, right? Accountable and committed visitor hosts are going to keep your chapters running smoothly. And when you add that professional polish to your meetings, the fun of your meetings, and you convert more visitors into members, we all make more money, right? We all create more business across the board. You are the first and the last impression that a visitor is going to receive from their experience in BNI. You become the go-to person, the expert, right? It doesn't mean you're going to have all the answers. What it means is, even if you don't, you are willing and able to go find out the answer and get back to them. That is huge. So today, remember, we have 3 types of meetings now, right? 3 types of meetings. We have all in-person meetings, about 33% of our chapters in Sozona, all in person. We have all online meetings, about 33% of our chapters here in Sozona, all online. And then we have 33% for those of you that like the best of both worlds, that hybrid, which is the first meeting in the month is in person and the rest are online. So you're going to hear me give instructions and directions and things like that for the different types of meetings. All right. You're going to hear me talk about in person. Don't check out if you're online. You're going to hear me talk about online. Don't check out if you're in person. And I'm going to encourage you that if you're an in-person chapter, go visit some of our online chapters and see how the visitor hosts operate. If you're an online chapter, go visit some of the in-person chapters and see what they do. We can all learn from each other. I never think I have all the answers, and you have some systems and processes in place in your rooms that are working great. I am not here to change those things. All right. I'm not here to change them. I'm just here to help, hopefully educate you and make you feel a little bit more prepared for October 1st. All right. All right. So I own a franchise. And for those of you that might not know, when you own a franchise, like let's say McDonald's, you don't buy a franchise and then say, you know what, we're going to change the color of the big M outside. Or we're not going to use the sauce on the Big Mac, right? The beautiful thing about BNI and my franchisor is I've got boundaries that I get to work within. And there are some things I really get to get creative on, which I love. There are also some things there is no creative. I don't get to get creative. All right. By the way, if you see something and you're like, I don't understand why Chrissy's doing this, shoot me an email, because 9 times out of 10, it ain't Chrissy. It's what BNI is telling Chrissy that we are doing. All right. So you are going to receive a jot form in an email, and I'm going to please ask that you go through it, you read it, and you sign it. This is a protection for you. It's a protection for me, and it's a protection for BNI. All right. So look for that in your email prior to September 15th. That is our goal, before September 15th, and make sure that it's signed prior to that first week of October. Fair? All right. Awesome. I really do need everyone participating and engaged. I'm going to ask that, you're not working on your phones or on your laptop or on your computers, and that your video is on. There is going to be a lot of information today. You are not going to retain all of it, no matter how brilliant I know all of you are. And it's really imperative that you're participating, taking notes, and really giving this your all. You are the leaders that your chapter members will be counting on this next term in this visitor host role. And the more knowledge that you have, the easier these roles are definitely going to be. All right. And you have a team of visitor hosts working alongside you. So what are we going to go over today? We're going to talk about what is a visitor. We're going to talk about what is a visitor host. We're going to talk about contact and timing. We're going to go through the visitor orientation, and we're going to talk about entering visitor attendance. At the end, I am absolutely going to ask, what'd you learn today? So, take a couple notes and participate with me at the end, because that for me is my favorite thing, that maybe you learn something, maybe something that you're really excited about. All right. Here is what we know. Whether you have already served as a visitor host or this is your first time, it's important to remember you really do make a huge contribution to your fellow members by making and creating the visitor host experience a positive one. All of you are in your rooms, I'm assuming, because you felt welcome. If you didn't feel welcome, I'm assuming you probably would have applied someplace else, or I don't think you'd be in BNI at all. That's the thing, right? So you absolutely will impact them. And if they have a really great experience and BNI is a good fit for them, they'll apply for membership, right? Here is what we know. Larger chapters equal more referrals and revenue. It's just a fact. All right. So our goal is to have all of our chapters over 25 members. All right. What we see is that over 25 members generates on average about $850,000 of thank you for closed business in a year. When you double that, you don't just double the thank you for closed business, you double, it's more than that. Around 50 members are doing $3 million. That's a lot. It's absolutely a lot. So our goal and what the region is here to do is really to help you all grow your rooms so that you have more people to give to and more people to receive from. All right. So I would love it if a couple of you would tell me, visitor hosts, what's your biggest concern about being a visitor host? This is where you all answer me, by the way, too. The sales component. All right, y'all, tell me what you mean by that. Explain that for me a little bit better.
So in the visitor room, my understanding is we do kind of share with people the benefits of BNI, what the cost is, blah, blah, blah. And I've heard people talk about someone who's great with as a visitor host because they're a good closer. And that's the part that makes me just a little bit intimidated.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm no salesperson, right? Okay. That's a fair question. So what we like to say, all right, when we use the term closer, all right, what we want is people that aren't afraid to tell people what it costs, what the time commitment is, and believe that both of those components are worthy, right? The challenge is when I have a visitor host, and it absolutely has happened. I have a visitor host and they're like, well, I don't really want to talk to them about the time component, or I don't really want to talk to them about the money component. Here's the thing, guys. If you don't believe that both of those things are worthwhile, it's going to be real hard for you to talk to someone else about it, right? So I don't expect you to be a salesperson for your chapter. By the way, you're not a salesperson for BNI. This is about closing visitors for your room, not for Chrissy. Yes, this is my business. Yes, this is how I eat. Yes, this is how I create a legacy for my kids and my grandkids. That's not the goal. The goal is for you all to have more quality people in your room that are doing amazing business. So if we can frame it like that, y'all, right? That it's about believing that BNI works, and then, yeah, being able to close that business. All right. Is that that an okay? All right. All right. Let's see. I'm going back. Talking to people. Yes, I know, for those of you that are introverts. And you know, the biggest thing about visitor host is really sharing. First of all, you have a PowerPoint for everything. Systems and processes, guys, right? And second of all, share your story. Like, what's your story? Why are you sitting in the room? That's what the visitors want to hear, right? It's why we're actively listening during the meeting to what the visitors are saying. We're watching what they're talking about in the chat, right? Oh my gosh, I love the energy in this room. Write that down, right? Mary loves the energy, so that when you get into that visitor orientation, that closing space, you can say, Mary, I heard you say you love the energy. Talk to me a little bit more about that, right? So that we're having more of a conversation. We want to make sure everyone feels welcomed, acknowledged. Always try to have a few people available to take visitors to meet someone in our chapter. Yeah. So 6-figure success is 40 plus members. They have visitors every single week. So here's the thing. That's fantastic. And it can also be a struggle where we want to make sure a visitor doesn't get lost, right? In some of our growing rooms, right? It's very obvious when there's a new human in the room. So making everyone feel welcome. Having the right amount of time for your job on the team, Cheryl, yes. And it's why we're hoping, right, that you have at least 2, 3, 4 other visitor hosts. Some of our larger chapters are going to have 8 to 10. They just are. And many hands make light work, right? So you're all going to get trained on all the pieces. And yet the hope is you're going to be communicating with your secretary treasurer, and you're each going to have pieces that you're taking throughout the next 12 months. Let's see. Time. Yes. Time. Again, time. And this is where tech follow-up. So I'm going to show you some of the tech. The tech is also in your resource guide. Literally, here's where you go. Here's what you click. It is always in your resource guide. For those of you that are like, it seems like a lot to read my resource guide, I'm going to highly recommend that you read your resource guide. There's a lot of really fantastic information that is easy. So again, I see time in here, right? Concerned about time. It's why we hope that you have more than one person on your visitor host team. If you happen to not, you are the reason, right? You are going to help give those visitors a great member experience. They're going to come in and hopefully you can add them to your team. And Emily, you're right. Non-salespeople are the best. You come across very genuine, right? Because we don't want to, we're not trying to sell them BNI. Like, I should be the only salesperson for BNI, and I don't want to sell anybody BNI. I just want to offer them a great experience. And that's all that I expect out of you all as visitor host, right? Yep. And the membership committee team there, I love the fact when there's a membership committee member in the visitor orientation after the meeting. I think that's fantastic. Mark, absolutely. Follow up. Some people are impossible to contact regardless of your effort. 100%. This is why it's so imperative that we get these visitors registered, that we mark them as attended, because that they get an auto-generated email, right? I'm also going to highly encourage that you all are sending emails that are just chapter specific, right? So there's a that's one touch. I'm gonna also say calling them ahead of time and saying, I'm excited to meet you tomorrow is a great thing. So let's say that's 2 touches. You're in the meeting. That's the 3rd one. They get the auto-generated email when you all click that button, right? They get another follow-up email from you that says, again, thanks so much for coming. If you have any questions, you can contact me directly. They get a follow-up phone call and the president calls them. Now, for you salespeople, that's 7 contacts. So hopefully at some point they read one of these emails or they listen to one of these voicemails, right? We even have chapters that are actually contacting via text as well. So lots of mode. And you're right, Mark. If you can't get a hold of them, we're only responsible for leaving a message, right? Yes, Robin is a great closer. Easier because she believes BNI works. Easier because she's been a member for 11 years. Easier because she's now on her second business building it. So all of those things go into play, right? When sharing with the visitors for sure. Oh, I know you're a believer, y'all. You're still in my room, even though you live across the country. So I am super, super glad. Bing component. Yeah. What to say, what not to say. So I'm going to tell you what to say and what not to say. Now, I'm only as good as the training. So this is why the resource guide is such a huge thing. Huge, huge thing. All right. Yeah, Stephanie, if we have the mindset of providing value to a visitor versus trying to sell them something, because I think that we can all agree that BNI is a huge value to our businesses, or we wouldn't be here. Thank you, Kidder. You are just sharing why it's a value from your own perspective. Yes, 100%, 100%. All right. So thank you for sharing some of the things that you're concerned about, right? I appreciate that. Tell me some of the things you're excited about. What are you excited about? There's got to be something.
I had something about the time commitment when I
Please,
talk
Frank.
to the people I
Yeah.
talk to. Big complaint I hear is what's the time commitment?
Yeah.
I tell them it pretty much is the time you're putting into the meetings, it's going into your own business. It's for you. It's for everybody, but it's for your own business. And if you don't have time for your own business, then say yeah. So I'm up late doing paper, like during the day I work. At home when it's too late to text people, I'm working on stuff behind the scenes. It's a lot of time commitment, and BNI is just another aspect of it for me.
So Frank is one of our newer members in our Casa Grande chapter, CG Champs. And Frank, you say exactly what we try to get across, right? We do our best to get across, especially in the member success program. I don't want BNI to be something you do. God, gotta go to BNI. Gotta do these one-to-ones, right? I gotta go to this training with Chrissy and be a visitor host. You said it. My goal is always just for BNI to be a piece of your business. It's just a piece of your business. When you give back to your chapter, it builds your business. It's not for me. It's not for your director consultant. It's for you, for your business, for the people in your room. So thank you, Frank. I love that.
Okay.
Emily, yes, love meeting new people. Dolly, were you saying
Yeah.
something?
Okay, yeah, no, what I just wanted to chime in and help here, and just, I've been in my business like as an owner for 43 years, and it's a people business. And one of the things that I appreciated when Tracy Baldry, longtime member, approached me when some other businesses, meetings went away, is it is helpful. And you don't have to be as chatty as I am, or you can be a quiet, shyer person. The value when you make them welcome when they come in, because some of them are freaked out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right up front important, okay? But I happen to like the discipline of literally, I'm a list maker that I look forward to. Here's my Wednesdays when I'm going, get it on the calendar. When we've got a social or something, I like the security of consistency on a thing like that. And I never be hovery about it, but you kind of have to kind of cultivate them all individually, because everybody rolls a different way. And ever since COVID, people got so used to sitting on their duff, they didn't want to get off their duff and away from their streams. So the value in person is, I really have a special way to say, there's nothing like face to face when you can do it, people. Honest to goodness. So there.
All right, there.
Good.
I like it. So here's what I'm going to touch on, all right? Because I knew this was going to come up. And it's one of my favorite things, by the way. If you believe that in-person networking is the way to go, and you are going to make more money by being in a room every week with those people, you need to be in an in-person chapter. And you believe it, and it happens. If you believe that online is just as effective. And you can do all of the other things in person, but you like your weekly meeting online, be online. And if you want the best of both worlds, be hybrid. Here's the thing. I literally ran the numbers, guys. Oh. Somebody's not muted. They're coming through. Sorry, going through here, going through. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm recording, so I want to make sure that I'm muting. I ran the numbers. Our in-person chapters and our online chapters and our hybrid chapters, average per member is right around the same. It's right around the same. So what I believe is that the reason all of these things work is because you're in the right room. You're in the right room. So that's what I would say. All right. And you may have visitors that come into your room and they want a different type of meeting. Please give them a great experience so that another chapter in this region can reap the benefit of a fantastic member. If they don't want in person and they want online, or if they don't want online and they want in person, when we give them a great experience, we all still get them in our BNI rooms. Okay. All right. Excited about new people, creating connections, showcasing what an awesome chapter we are. Yeah. I mean, that's a big one, right? Learned something new today. Hopefully you will, Megan. Let's see. I'm excited because I love talking to people and now there is purpose behind it. Grant said, yes, your effort will reflect in your successes. Love it. Meeting, introducing, givers gain, building the chapter, helping experience what I have in just 1 year. Love that. It works if you work it. So pick the version of BNI that works for you. Yeah. Yeah, I had to collect all the data because I have online chapters that are like, we make more money. And I have in-person chapters, we make more money. And I'm like, hey guys, you make the same. You make the same. It's because of the people in the room. It's because of the people in the room. And it's why, right? Yeah, that's why our larger chapters, we've got 2 larger chapters that are in person. We've got one of our larger chapters that is online, another one that is online. It's because it works. Brand new member Cheyenne, I'm excited to be a part of the team and help others see how BNI can work for their business. Love it. Yes, the hair magicians getting together, Megan and Cheyenne, good plan. Yeah, excited for your new role, showing the excitement they took. That right. Again, if you can look back to that day when you walked into your room, right, and how you felt, that's what you have an opportunity to give to the people. All right, that's what we have an opportunity to give is. So Cecilia, if you will run through the squares and just make sure that everybody's got their chapter in front of their name. And then I know we have some people that joined, like we have iPhone. If we could find out who that is, that would be awesome. That way we make sure that we mark them down. Who would have thought, like, to me, Megan, you have the biggest personality. I would have never thought in a million years that you would have, been concerned about walking into a room. But yeah, when people make you feel welcome, right, you can take a deep breath, because sometimes we're a lot, especially those of us that have been in BNI a long time, right? Like, we know it works and we get excited and we can really overwhelm a visitor, and we definitely don't want to do that. Oh, sorry guys. All right, let's figure out what is a visitor. All right. What is a visitor? Now, all of these definitions, where are they? Where are all the definitions? Anybody have any idea? Y'all said it. Resource guide. Yes, it's named a resource guide because It's a resource, guys. It's a resource. So please, please, please use it. All right. A visitor is a business professional whose classification is open and who would benefit from an increase in referrals and from belonging to and participating in your room. All right. Their classification is open. All right. This is a person that really wants to, is just checking us out, right? They're checking your chapter out. And if the fit is right, person's impressed and they see the value, then they can go ahead and apply for membership. Yeah, it can be used as a resource. All right. If a visitor is in conflict or overlaps with a member's classification, all right, and you know this for certain, it's got to be really black and white, people. Here's why I say that. In Network Without Borders, there are 2 photographers. One photographer does family portraits, and the other photographer focuses on the branding and the headshots for businesses. They work really well together, right? So it's not our job as visitor hosts to tell somebody that they're not in the right room. Now, why do I say that? You think, Chrissy, really? You have to say that to us? I do, actually, because I have gotten feedback from visitors where a visitor was told, oh, that's my classification. You can't be a member here. Now, I don't know about you, but that really probably doesn't make anybody feel very welcome. Am I correct about that? Yeah, does not make anybody feel welcome. Everyone is welcome to be a visitor in our room or a guest. Everyone is welcome. All right, we want to give them a really good experience. If by chance, you know for a fact, a realtor walks into your room, you have a residential realtor, but they see your room and they're like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. That is when you send them to our chapter placement specialist, Cecilia Schreiber. All right, because we'll find them a space. We'll find them a room. Visitors, very easy. A visitor is someone that can apply and become a member of your room. Any questions? Yeah, Grace, you're right. We still want to welcome them, explain how it works. Yes, absolutely. Any questions on visitor? Does it make sense? I know it sounds silly. Susan?
I just have a comment. When we got together, our visitor host team, we kind of, without saying it, we discussed what our superpowers are for visitors. Mine is welcoming people in, and some people's is closing the deal. So I think that's the best way to go when we're deciding how we're going to help our chapter.
Yeah. And it's why you're going to get trained on all the things today, right? You're going to get trained on all of them today. And you have a month to sit down with your secretary treasurer, sit down with your team, get on a Zoom call and figure out where are my strengths, right? And what space am I going to be really good at? Some of you are going to be killer at entering the visitors, right? Like, yeah, no problem. I'm on my computer. I can do that right after the meeting. Not a problem. Some of you are going to be like, not my forte. And I'd love to be visitor orientation person, right? Some of you, I definitely want to be a greeter, right? This is why we're training early. For those of you that have been around BNI a long time, we're in this room and we're here early, right? It's August. Usually it's mid-September. Where the unicorns and butterflies and glitter play in my brain, I had this fantastic idea of we do it earlier this year, and it gives our incoming teams time to sit with the outgoing team, learn the systems and processes that are working, right? Institute some of the things that you've learned here today and figure out how your team is going to continue to be more effective, right? And get with that secretary treasurer who is your point person in your room and figure out who's doing what. I knew the glitter and the unicorns was going to get somebody. So yeah, Susan, you're right. We all have strengths, right? We have strengths. We want to make sure we're using them. So a visitor is somebody that can join your chapter. Yes? All right. Awesome. Cecilia, and chime in on this because Cecilia and Martha and Stacy and I have looked over that resource guide about 82 times. And by the way, probably they're still not perfect. All right. So if anybody's looking for perfection, you know, if you happen to see something like something that needs editing or word or something like that, just send it to me. All right. We have done our best. But so Cecilia, if you, as we've gone through this, if I don't say something that you feel needs to be said, please interrupt me. All right. A guest. Another perfect training. That's right. That's right. Well, I'm running it. I mean, come on. Something's gonna go wrong. I'm running this thing. All right. A guest is a person visiting the chapter meeting who is not a viable candidate to become a member of your room. Okay? All right. Listen up. By the way, you don't have to remember this. It's in your resource guide. You're going to get super tired of me saying that. And the reason that I continue to say it is because I will get phone calls the 1st of October and asking me questions on this. And I'm like, it's definitely in your resource guide. So don't take it personally if I say, please refer to your resource guide. All right. These guests absolutely give their own weekly presentation. They give their own weekly presentation. All right. A person who is already a member of another BNI chapter whose classification is open, we would encourage everybody to visit other chapters if your classification is open. Speaking of unicorns, there are some of you where you are the only person that does what you do out of 370 members. It doesn't matter if you do it in Sierra Vista, Casa Grande, or Tucson. If you're the only person that does what you do, you probably want to make sure that you are visiting other rooms. You can visit other chapters up to 2 times a year. Okay? Yeah. So y'all be clear on, hopefully that's not happening here, although I feel like sometimes it does happen in our region. I know for a fact it definitely happens in other regions across the nation. I just feel like that's, you know, if you're in a room visiting as a BNI member, you're a guest, your classification is open, you absolutely get to give your weekly presentation. And guess what, guys? Great news. This is where you get to use the term, wait for it, hold on. I've got a sign for it, thanks to a former BNI member, Chrissy said. This is where you get to say, Chrissy said. Chrissy said, if my classification is open, I actually do, right? Say it kindly with grace, for sure. All right, I'm following up on the chat. Correct, if you are subbing, you do not give your own presentation, all right? Oh, good, yeah, I'm sure you do, Kidder. I'm sure you do. And sometimes I actually said it. For those of you in the chat, she said, I say Chrissy said about 5 times a day. Maybe some of those times I actually said it. All right. So a person who's already a BNI member whose classification is open. All right. You don't, Robin. You really don't have to start using it more. All right. A person not with a startup chapter whose classification is filled and is looking for a BNI room. All right. Not part of a core group, not part of a startup chapter. Their classification is filled in your room. They're a realtor. They absolutely get to give their weekly presentation. All right, so here's what I say. All right. If you are in the personal lines insurance classification and you are a visitor host and you meet someone that is coming into your room because another member said, come to my room, see BNI, and then let me find you another space to be in. All right. You're the visitor host. You run into that personal lines insurance person. Ask them, oh my gosh, what are you talking about today? When they tell you they're talking about people with toys today, you talk about something else. Here's the reason. You now have technically kind of gotten 2 weekly presentations because your members are not going to send business to that guest who has been in the room for 90 minutes. If your members are going to give business to someone who has just showed up, who happens to do the same thing that you do, you have not done a great job of creating relationships with the people in your room. And that's not a BNI problem, that's a you problem. And I'm 100% okay saying it. All right. So does that make sense to everybody? Like if somebody's in your classification, heck yeah, they're not a BNI member, they're in your classification, you get 2 weekly presentations that week. All right. Another guest, a BNI member from another chapter, could be from Yugoslavia, whose classification is, no, hold on. See, this is where I messed up, Cecilia. These people do not, I didn't take it out of my notes. Sorry, guys. We literally changed this yesterday, realizing what it was. Oh, no, it's okay. Goodness, I'm gonna have to splice this out of the training today. All right. A BNI member from another chapter whose classification is filled does not give their own weekly presentation. They do have a chance to talk about their chapter, their day, their time, and their classifications. See, I went ahead and confused myself. So y'all are welcome, and I'm sorry all at the same time. Let me go through that again. A BNI member who is from another chapter whose classification is filled, they do not give their own weekly presentation about their own business. They do have a chance to talk about their chapter, their day, their time, and what classifications are open in their room. Okay. Did I bring that back so that those of you that were like, whoa, she super confused me. Now it makes sense.
Okay, Chrissy, this is Cheryl. I'm sorry.
You do not have to be sorry. I definitely did it. Tell me.
All right, so we've had people come in that just start talking about what they do, and we already have somebody in the classification. They're from another country. We don't know if that's what they do with their chapter. So what do we do with that? I mean, that's, how do we handle it? I think we've called you about a couple people.
Another BNI member from a different country even that comes in, overlaps somebody in your room and is talking about the same thing. Yes? Is that the question, Cheryl? Well, we're not going to stop them. Okay. And nobody in your room is going to nobody in your room is going to hire a CPA from Malaysia when Legina's in your room. All we can do is find out what they do ahead of time and then private chat them. Hey, in our region, this is our process, right? Since we have your classification filled and you are a BNI member, we would ask that you talk about your chapter. Okay. And guess what, Cheryl? They might still do it. People are people. They're just people. Francisco, can I ask you a quick question? Can you tell me what chapter you are in? Remind me. Can you see that blue bar now? I know you're on your phone and it's
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go Givers.
Awesome. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, good question. Good question, Cheryl. All right. Everybody's okay, even though I was the one that was confused in the beginning, hopefully.
Now we can say Chrissy said if
You
anything comes up.
can. Look. Chrissy said, okay. A BNI member from a core group or a startup group, like we call them, all right, does not give their own weekly presentation. They do get to talk about their room, their chapter, their day, their time, and their classifications. All right. So those are the people, the guests that get to give their weekly presentation. We'll go over it one more time. Another BNI member whose classification is open. A person not with a startup group or a core group whose classification happens to be filled and is looking for a BNI room. All right. Another BNI member from another chapter whose classification is filled. They don't talk about their own business. They do have a chance to talk about their own chapter and the open classifications. And then a BNI member from a core group does not talk about their own weekly presentation. Again, they talk about their chapter, their day, and their time. Those are the people that do. Yes? Okay. Any questions on that? All right. The following guests do not give their own weekly presentation. They do not. A person who works full-time for a company that doesn't rely on referrals, sales, or commissions for their job. Okay. Maybe somebody's retired, intends to remain retired. Maybe it's your mom and they came to see your feature presenter, your feature presentation. They don't, there's no weekly for them. All right. Somebody who's not employed, doesn't want to be employed. A person who lives out of the area and is not moving to the area. Okay. So those are all guests that do not give. They do not give a weekly. All right. And again, you don't have to remember everything. It's all correct in that guide. Remember that while guests can be a great source of referrals and business to the members, they will not become members of your room. They still need to be warmly welcomed by you all, and all members need to make a point of getting to know all the visitors and all the guests. Okay. All right. So we've gone over visitor and guest. Everybody good so far? The 8 of you on my screen are. Okay. The other, let's see, 48 of you, hopefully you are too. All right. What's a substitute? This is an easy one, guys. It's an easy one. A substitute who is a person, it's a person who is representing a BNI member. All right. This person could be a visitor in the sense that their classification is open, right? They might be a guest, but they are in your room solely to represent that person that is not there today. All right. The goal, I love that. We all need fabulous humans covering our butt due to absences, for sure. The goal is to have all substitutes. All right. All substitutes. Hopefully they could come back as a visitor, right? I mean, if we have somebody subbing for us that their classification is open in our room, we're going to treat them like a visitor. We're going to bring them into the new visitor orientation. We're going to talk to them like a visitor, and we're going to ask them back to represent their own classification next week. But remember that substitutes only represent the member, and they only give one weekly presentation, whether their classification is open or not. Primary purpose is for the substitute to represent the member. All right. BNI and SOZONA recommends minimal use of a substitute. Okay. We like to say that a member may use a substitute up to 3 times in a 6-month period, right? 3 absences, 3 substitutes. I also would tell you, if you've already had 3 subs don't just say, oh, well, I've already had 3 subs, so I'm gonna take 3 absences. No, just have somebody sub for you. We really want to see you though. Substitutes do not add the same value. They don't have the same experience. They don't have the same relationship with the people in your room. Okay. Substitutes in the same classification as another member are asked not to advertise their business, although some do. And again, it's fine. They can't take business from you unless they can, but they're not going to. All right. If those substitutes end up and their classification, maybe it's filled in your room and they're like, wait, I want this for my business. Again, please direct them to Cecilia, who's our chapter place specialist. Okay. I'm going to say one more thing about substitutes that I don't necessarily expect you as a visitor host team to do anything about. I do want to make sure that you're aware. Professional substitute is not a classification in BNI. And we have some of those. All right. Most of those people, their classifications are open in BNI and they're utilizing BNI without the vested interest that you all have in the room. If you have a person that substitutes for you, don't farm them out. They're your substitute, okay? We all came into BNI. We all know we have to have a substitute. It's our responsibility, okay? It's our responsibility. Well, technically, if I have a substitute that is in my business, all right, I can have that person sub for me consistently. Like they could be my 3 times in a 6-month period. If it is a random person that is outside of BNI and they are just subbing for all the people, that's where it creates challenges. Is there a limit? There needs to be. There's not right now. I would love to make a regional guideline that just like a visitor, you get to visit twice before you make your mind up and become a member. We don't have that in place right now. And again, yeah, exactly, Susan. That's a surefire way. Other members start being like, I mean, when you hear terms like, wow, that person's, you've been here more than some of our members. That's a ding, 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 ding. They're probably subbing too much. All right. And then you might want to just hit your secretary treasurer and say, hey, the visitor host team realizes that we've kind of had the same sub and they're substituting for a lot of different people. I am not planning on taking a break. I was just asked about a break. I'm not planning on taking a break. And you all are grown. If you need to run to the restroom, you need to grab more coffee or more water, please feel free to do that. Just come back. Okay. But my goal is to not take a break because I want to get you out of here before 11:30. I'd like to give you a little bit of time back. So I also want to make sure we get through everything. Fair? Okay. Good question. All right. Observers. An observer is an additional representative from a core group or from a member's company or business, and they do not give a weekly presentation. So let me explain this. We have a core group. They have 7 members. They all visit your room. Okay? They all visit your room. Only one of them is speaking to talk about their open classifications. The rest of them are observers, and they do not talk during the weekly time of the meeting. Okay? If you have 4 people from your company, they're coming in, they've got your back and they are in the room to support you for your feature presentation. Great. They do not give weekly presentations. It doesn't mean your business now gets 5 minutes because you have you and 4 other representatives in the room. Okay. You as visitor hosts are going to need to make sure people know this. And we need to do it in a tactful and professional manner. Everybody heard me, right? Please don't chat them and say, you don't get to talk. Please don't do that. What I would do is I would ping the member, okay? Hey, Chrissy, I know you've got 3 other people in the room to support you for your feature. Please remind them they will not be giving a weekly presentation. Okay? Core group member, president, you can ask as they check, or visitor host, ask as they check in at your visitor host table if you're in person. Hey, who's speaking today on behalf of your chapter? Okay, so the other 3 of you, you all are observers and you won't speak during the weekly, just the representative. Super easy, right? So easy. Cheryl, so you said sometimes for some, it could be a help to some people planning to be a part of BNI. Tell me what you mean by
For
that.
the substitute. Sometimes we started using one person because they really wanted to be a part, but then they didn't have financially able to. So we were able to let them sub for a bit and, for a couple different people. And then they were able to try to, get in, be able to come in. So I don't know, we used it kind of like a help for them in terms of like passing around a substitute. I don't know if that's good or not, but
And
that was
well,
where
and
that came.
I can see how it on the surface looks as if you're helping. What I have seen, okay, here's what I've seen, and it's just my experience. Not everyone, absolutely not everyone. There are some that take advantage of that though. And I would say this is why we have a payment plan. If someone is struggling to pay $76 a month, their business is really struggling, and it's going to be a struggle for them to even give referrals if they don't have the ability to put in some marketing dollars and some time into your room and into your members. And so that's why I would still rather it not be done. I know chapters are going to do things, and I'm not upset by that. You're not going to get an email from me. There is always a reason why we have things in place though. And it is 100% to protect you all as the member and to protect your chapter. So just know that. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate you sharing. No 60-second. Oh, yes. Yes. So that is definitely, that's coming, Donna. Weeklies are the asking part of the meeting, right? They absolutely speak during the giving portion. So during the referral and testimonial portion, we want to hear what impressed them about the meeting. And everybody gets to do that. Okay. Everybody clear on observers? Anybody that was at this training last year, let me just tell you, huge thank you to Cecilia and Stacy and Martha, because they made this way easier than I made it last year. So thank you so much. Give credit where credit is due. All right. So those are all of our people that are going to show up in our room. All right. Now let's talk about what we're going to do when they show up in our room. Okay. Okay. Here's what every visitor needs. Okay. Here is what every visitor needs. They need to know what a chapter meeting is and what's expected of them. They need to know that members want them to be there, right? They need to have a place to have their questions answered. They need to see the value of BNI affirmed and they need to be invited to apply for membership. So kind of back to that quote unquote closing during the visitor orientation. If we don't offer them an opportunity to apply, they're not gonna usually. I network not in a lot of places because my time is important to me. And yet I have walked into rooms and I've gone to a great meeting. And at the end, I was like, but how do I become a member? Nobody even asked me if I wanted to become a member, right? So we have to invite them. Now, some people are just going to be like, I'm in, right? Some people are going to be like the Robin Moores, who, you know, was a Robin Sullivan when she walked in and was like, hey, somebody else is in the room. They do what I do. You say I need to lock out my competition. I hope my check doesn't bounce. And here I am, right? All right. Some people are quick decision makers. Some people are not. Some people want to make sure you're not just showing off. Wait, you guys do this every week? Yes, yes, we do. Okay. So we have to invite them to apply for membership. And that's it too. They might not think you want them. Right? So there's this fine line of, we don't want to sell them BNI. We also don't want to go, well, we don't really care if you become a member. Right? We want to share the value. We want to offer them the opportunity. And we want to hopefully, we want to give them a choice. They still get to choose if they want to become a member or not, right? They get to choose. All right. First thing, visitor host. First thing. Let's see, Kidder. Important to prime your visitors, meaning give them a heads up about preparing a weekly presentation, removes a bit of the anxiety. People know what to expect, especially if they're expected to speak, and let them know how much time they have. Yeah, so by the way, this is not, yes, it's kind of in here on a visitor host level. As members, if we are not doing this for our visitors, that is on us. I don't feel like that's a visitor host job. That's a member job when we invite people. Hey, I'm excited to see you on Friday. Well, yes, one would think, Kidder, that it was your job to tell them if you invited them, right? Yes. Hey, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Do you have the link? You're going to get 30 seconds to talk about your business. And then at the end of the meeting, we're going to ask what impressed you about the meeting. And then we're going to take a little bit of time and answer your questions and go through some of the BNI data, right? So so that you understand. If all of us as members did that very little thing for all of our visitors, they'd come in prepared. Then you as a visitor host can just solidify that, right? I don't know how many visitors show up and they're like, oh, I didn't know I had to talk. I literally want to send the member a message. Really? If you were invited and you didn't know that you had to talk, would that give you a good impression or a bad impression of BNI? And your room? Yeah, it's a bad impression. So we as members have to take responsibility for that, for sure. And you as visitor hosts get to share that with your members. Hey guys, share these 3 little things. They'll come in more prepared and feel better. All right. All right. So remember, who are we making feel welcome? Everyone. Everyone. Visitors, substitutes, guests, observers, other BNI members. I have heard that members will walk into another BNI chapter and be like, oh, well, once they found out I'm already in BNI, it was like they didn't want to talk to me. That confuses me so much. You have no idea who that person knows. You have no idea if that person is in your room because they want to find out if this is a good place for them to put their next employee or their wife or their husband. This one, if I find out, you might get an email from me actually, because this one gives a bad impression of BNI, and that makes me angry. We need to be welcoming everyone. Everyone. Even if that person is in your classification, that needs to be a person you get to know well. Danielle Reed, who is in AC and Heating in one chapter, said it best. She has created a relationship with Kyle, who is in AC and Heating in six-figure success. They pass business back and forth like crazy. Welcome everyone. Okay, jumping down off the soapbox now. So visitors, guests, subs, observers, other BNI members, and new members, right? If you got a new member, like, are they still nervous? Yeah. Welcome them, okay? Remember how you felt when you attended your first meeting? Was it overwhelming? Did you know anybody? When we make them feel welcome from the start, you have a great first impression and they're more likely to come back. What made you feel like you wanted to be part of the room? Okay? What made you? Everyone should be welcomed regardless of your personal gain. It's as if that's the giver's gain philosophy. Weird. So strange. Yes, I had people to come and support, and they said that I would announce as an observer. If they are in your classification, yes, they would just announce that they're an observer. Is that
No,
what-
I meant, that's for my question. I meant that they said, I didn't know I was supposed to say nothing. I was like, and I told them, because I told them not to worry about it, because they were coming to support my
Yes.
my feature presentation. So that's why I said, should I just say they're an observer, and then the person shouldn't ask, or what? That's what I'm saying.
Well, again, I think we need to prepare them. If they're if they're from your company and they're there to support you, then they're an observer. They're an observer.
Yeah, they were just a friend of mine. We're in AARP together, so they just came to do.
Okay.
That's why I said that. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's all right. No problem. Great to have people in my room, in my classification, most of the referrals within others of my field. Yes, absolutely. Most referrals that I pass is with someone who does insurance in another group. Yeah. Yeah. Co-opetition is, yes, very, very, very good. Yes. All right. So we're making them feel welcome. So let's go through, all right, let's go through the different pieces of the visitor host role, okay? The visitor host role. We've got about an hour left, guys. You still with me? Need any more coffee? Need to grab some water? Okay, I'm getting some nods. All right. Welcoming, the friendly connector, right? The greeter, the open networker. We've got the visitor orienter. I don't even know if that's a word, but it's not underlined in blue, so I think it is. And then the follow-up specialist, all right? Whatever role you end up playing on your team, you have the power to create a positive and engaging experience for the visitors of your room, all right? So you need to make sure that, again, we're talking about where you see yourself, right, with the team over the next month, okay? There are nuances of every single role, all right? And they're all pieces of a puzzle that when they work together, they work really, really well, all right? Now, as far as the welcoming, if you're an online chapter, I know we have some chapters that actually have like a visitor room that we take them in and kind of let them know what to expect. 4 or 5 minutes of here's what to expect in the meeting, get to know them a little bit. I know also that in other online rooms, they see benefit as having the visitors in the breakout rooms with members. Whoever is creating your breakout room could get strategic. So if you have an estate planning attorney, they probably need to be in the room with the financial advisor, right? Probably need to be in the room with the senior placement specialist. So we can there's also value in putting members in the room with people from their contact sphere, or visitors in the room with members in the same contact sphere. And different chapters are doing different things here. All right. If you're online, remember continuing to make them feel engaged. All right, is important. Just letting them know that you appreciate them being in the room. I think one of the biggest things in that first piece is making sure that we as members are not doing all the talking. And when someone pops in online, that we don't make sure that we acknowledge that visitor or that substitute, right? That guest, whoever that is. In person, sometimes it can be a little bit easier because they've got to walk up to your table. And so it's easier to engage them, right? Make sure that they're greeted and felt welcome. I know some of you, depending on your location and where you meet, sometimes you have that welcomer, like maybe outside of your room, kind of directing traffic, making sure that that person, that visitor, that guest, that sub knows where they're going. And again, I'm positive that there are some systems and processes in place across the region that you all are doing, and it's working really well. So get with that outgoing team. All right. If we are a visitor host, do you think it's a good idea to be flying in 5 minutes before the open networking portion of the meeting? Probably not. Probably not. We don't want our visitors getting there before us. All right. We don't want our visitors getting there before us. So we need to be early. So we've got the welcomer, we've got the greeter, that open networker, that visitor orienter, and the follow-up specialist. Let's talk a little bit more about the visitor contact. Okay. The visitor. No, I'm going to go back. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back. As we look at these, all right, the welcoming, the greeter, the open networker, all right, all of these people are definitely early. I would say the whole entire team needs to be early. And sometimes I know that things happen. You also might have someone on your visitor host team who happens to be a parent, and that maybe they're not going to get to the meeting 15 to 20 minutes early. Okay. Maybe their space on this team is being in visitor orientation, right? Because they can stay after that meeting. They are able to have that conversation. Maybe their space is that follow-up specialist where they can make the phone calls. They can click, yes, I was here. Yes, that visitor was here. Again, this is where it comes into play, where you're going to want to sit down and figure out what you are really good at and what the other people on your team are really, really good at. Okay. All right. Visitor contact. Okay. Visitor contact. We talked about touch points. All right. Kind of. Yes, I saw that, Cecilia. She's saying that there is can I ask really quick who the 520-918-5685 person is? Rick. Okay, I gotcha. All right, Rick. And what chapter are you in? Sorry, I'm waiting for the chat to come up. Platinum. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Rick. I'm going to change it. Thank you, Cecilia, for seeing that. All right. Visitor contact. 1 day before the meeting. All right. 1 day before the meeting. Now, if they're registered, they're getting auto generated. Hey, the meeting is tomorrow. They're getting that. I still think it's a really good idea to have a personal email. All right. Your personal email from your chapter has your weekly information sheet, right? That has all the members and all the information on it, right? Really important for in-person and online, right? So it's got all of that in it. If you're online, it has the Zoom link. If you're hybrid, it says, hey, we'll see you tomorrow at such and such place because we meet in person, or this is the Zoom link as we are online this week. All right. So it can have some documents attached to it that I think are really important for that visitor, that substitute, those guests to have before they show up, whether online or in person. Okay. The start of open networking. Oh, a day before, you could call them too, right? You could place a call and say, hey, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you're in person, do you know where you're going? Make sure you get there a little bit early. Parking, make sure you park over here, right? Any information that you can give them is gonna make them feel more welcome right off the bat. And you can tell them, my name is Chrissy, look for me tomorrow. Right? All right. Start of open networking. Of course, you're signing them in, right? Maybe you're changing their name. If you're online, you're welcoming them. You're getting them a sticky name badge that has their name on it if they don't have their own name tag, if you're in person, right? They get visitor orientation at the end, all right, of your meeting. And then within 24 hours of the meeting, hopefully we're placing a phone call and they're getting another follow-up email. And I'm going to show you right now from a BNI perspective. I'm going to blow this up. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to stop share for a minute. I'm going to screen share the entire screen so that it's bigger for everybody. All right. Up top, you can see that the automated emails sent to the visitors. All right. All right. Those are automated. They happen automatically when we invite. There's a meeting registration, right? That we've registered them for as members, An auto email gets sent 48 hours before the meeting from BNI, right? What to expect, okay? The day before the meeting here, you see this is our responsibility. A phone call, right? A phone call. I would say we probably need to add in here that pre-email too, right? Our responsibility is the chapter meeting, the orientation, marking attendance, right? Then BNI does a post email, and then I'm going to highly encourage the chapter to do a post email. Within 24 hours after the meeting, I'm going to highly encourage that we are making a phone call and just thanking them for coming. All right. If a visitor, this is a big one, guys. This is a big one. If a visitor who registered to attend or their person registered to attend, all right, was at the meeting, but we as a visitor host did not mark them attended within 48 hours, they get a sorry we missed you email. If you're a visitor and you were at the meeting and you got a sorry we missed you email, what would that say to you? Anybody? Didn't acknowledge them, They don't know what they're doing. Mixed signals.
They weren't paying attention.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like they matter at all. They don't care about you.
Right. Right. And we've all been to meetings like that. We don't want to have our meetings like that. Okay. Again, this is another place where you're probably going to get an email from me. Leadership is probably going to get an email from me because they respond to this email that looks like it comes from me. And they say, I was there. What are you talking about? Okay. So this is a big one. This is a big one. 5 to 8 days after the meeting, a survey goes out asking them about what their impression was of the meeting and their experience and asking them to visit again. That's auto-generated. And then we're recommending a week later, inviting them back, right? Inviting them back. So these are the touch points. Okay. I really love this slide. I think it's great. I think it says a lot about how automated BNI is and our responsibility. Any questions on this?
One question.
Yes.
That page, the page that you just had up, that is
Yep.
in the resource guide, right? I didn't print all the resource guide or look through it, but that diagram that is in the resource, that one that you, yes.
So that is a fantastic. Let's see. Is it in the resource guide or is it a separate document, Cecilia? I think
don't
it's
see it in the resource guide.
You're muted, Cecilia.
I want to say it's separate, Chrissy.
yeah. Let's make a note, make sure that it is.
I already did. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Are the visitor hosts getting an automated email when we receive a Yes. So the entire visitor host team, once you are listed as a visitor host, all right, come October 1st, that's when everybody's new roles take into effect. All right. Yeah, there'll be a document in the member resources, I promise. Once you're listed as a visitor host, you get an email every time a visitor registers. Great question, Mark.
Eugene, I took a picture of that and I'm going to put it in when our chapter success meeting happens, just to let everybody know what goes on.
Yeah, appreciate it. That's the reason I was checking too. Not so much for those of us that are here, because we can take the screenshot, we can get the information, but we have people that are not here or will be joining our chapters later. And if we don't have it available for them when they come, then we're probably not providing the example Chrissy's talking about. And that's why I asked.
Yes, absolutely. And what I will tell you is as you add members to your visitor host team, they're going to go through this training. They're going to have access to the member resources just like you. So yes. And I love that you're thinking ahead. I appreciate that for certain. All right. So let's go through kind of what we talked about. All right. Before the meeting, we have to pull the visitor registration report. There's a visitor registration report. It's fantastic, by the way. It shows everyone that is registered to visit. So for those online, you would know, oh, when they show up, you won't have to question whether or not they're a visitor or a guest or a substitute. You will know. So if you're in charge of renaming that day, you have that report in front of you, makes it super easy. If you are in person, you could actually have their name badges already written out, waiting for them at the visitor host table. What does that say to someone that walks in your room? Wow, they're professional.
You're excited to have them.
You're excited to have them. Yeah, we want you here. Yes.
That others are looking to meet you, that others are, and it will put more than likely in inspiration in them to try and make those contacts, the people that they meet, be a little bit more valuable since they're being considered to be more valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so there's that pre-phone call, right? There's that welcome email, that welcoming them and making them feel welcome at Open Networking, right? That's the pre. So pull the visitor registration report. How to do this? I know, you know what I'm gonna say. It's in your resource guide. It's in your resource guide. Here's the thing. Most of these things that are like, what do I do before the meeting? What do I do during the meeting? What do I do? All of that. What do I do? All of those things are in your checklist. So it's not like you have to go through the entire resource guide. Most of the things that you need to do before, during, after, monthly, and as needed are right there in that checklist. Okay. This PowerPoint, so there is a visitor host PowerPoint under member resources right now. We've changed some things. This one will be uploaded mid-September. All right. Replacing the one from last year. This training video will be uploaded, replacing the one from last year. Okay. So all of the new information is going to be online. You're going to want to pull that visitor registration report. A phone call. I love this, by the way. You have the address, Zoom link for tomorrow's meeting. Anyone I can introduce you to? Is there special pronunciation of your name? This, for me, is a big one. Mispronouncing somebody's name as the president is really uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. Mispronouncing them as they come in. Uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, right? So if we've made the phone call and we can find out, write it phonetically, not on their name badge, not in their renaming them when they show up at your meeting online, but for you and your team and your president so that it's done properly and they know how to say it. All right. So they know how to say it. I know. I think it's a game changer too. I like it. And this slide go in the resource guide? Is that what you're asking, Emily? Yeah. The phone script is in your resource guide.
For
Phone
the
script.
call, for the
Sorry?
pre-meeting call?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see it. I'll have to look again.
Okay. Cecilia, let's go ahead and check. I'm almost positive it's there. Let's go ahead and check. And Emily, I appreciate the fact that you have already read it. So thank you for that. All right. So if your meeting's in person, you have several opportunities to help your, visitor feel welcome and comfortable, starting before they even get in the meeting, right? What happens at the visitor host table, the presentation of it, right? That can be really, really, you can make a very professional. Okay, Kelly, we'll make sure. Okay. I appreciate, again, those of you that have read this very much. I appreciate it. Cecilia, let's just make a note to make a separate pre-phone script, and we'll just make it a separate document so you can just see it. All right. Well, and we'll make sure it gets added next year. If your room or where you meet in person is not like visible from the parking lot, make sure you've got somebody outside directing traffic. Okay. Let's see. If you can have a laptop at the table to register visitors who haven't already registered, or to check them in, if they have, that is super helpful, by the way. You can only register a visitor for the meeting today prior to the start time of your meeting. Once your start time, once you hit, if you're a 7 a.m. chapter, once 7 a.m. hits, the system won't let you register them for today's meeting. You'll have to go in and do it after the fact. Okay. But if you're in person and you have that ability to do that, that's helpful. If you all have won an award, you want to display that award, make that table look really, really welcoming. Make sure you've got your name tags. You can make the table look really great. I've been to some of our in-person meetings and I love it. Here's what I will say. Does everybody see this BNI logo, the red logo? That logo is not new anymore. It's 4 years old. If your chapter has documents that has the old logo on it, they have to be changed. Again, remember that whole franchise thing? I can get into a lot of trouble. So many of you in the room have no idea what I'm talking about because you weren't members before 2020. For those of us that have been, we remember the maroon IBM logo. And if that is on visitor host sign-ins, those are old because we've got new ones on the site. If your chapter has a sign that has the old logo on it, that needs to be replaced. All right. All those things. Yeah, Jeffrey, it literally looked like an IBM logo. I'll show you. It was great. And I love the new one better. So in person. All right. If your chapter is online, all right, lots of other ways that we can go ahead and engage our visitors. All right, we can engage our visitors. Again, when they jump on, making sure that we're acknowledging them, making sure that someone is actually changing them so that they get, are they a visitor? Are they a sub? Are they a guest? So that we know that. A lot of times, just chatting with them in the chat, making sure we welcome them verbally. All of those things are really, really important. And I would say, again, for those online, that's where that pre-phone call is really important too, right? There it is. Cecilia just threw it in the chat. That is the old BNI logo. Yeah, if you have something that has that on it, email me. Let me know. I know it's been around for a long time. All right. In-person meetings. Who can I introduce you to? What's new in your industry? What are you doing to grow your business? Who are your best or most interesting clients? Yes, much improved for sure. These are just questions that you could ask of those people. You don't have to run through these. This is not something you absolutely have to do. These are just sometimes people, especially new visitor hosts, are like, I don't know what to ask them. So these are some questions that you can ask them. All right. This also works for online meetings, I believe, right? Who can I introduce you to? What's new in your, we can still put that in the chat. We can ask them that. Okay. Online, again, we talk about this. I spoke about this. Some chapters are actually having a pre-visitor breakout room. Some chapters are just being super intentional about what breakout room they're sending their visitors to. If you, as a visitor host, are in a room with a visitor, it just strikes me that if you're in an online chapter and you had like VH in front of your name as a visitor host, the person doing the breakout rooms could ensure that one of you as visitor hosts are at least in a room with one of the visitors. I literally this is what happens. I train and then I'm like, that would be great if the breakout room person knew you were a visitor host and could split you up, right? So that 3 of you visitor hosts were not in the same room. And then we had 3 visitors all by themselves, which, by the way, let's make sure that doesn't happen. Same reason we don't want visitors to sit together, all of them, right? If you're in person, you want to make sure that members are in between them. If you're in person, you want to make sure that you as a visitor host introduce them to the person that invited them. And hopefully all of the visitors and subs are not sitting in a big line, right? Because we want to make sure and go, hey, the president just said it. I want to make sure you heard. You don't have to go right now during the weekly presentation. You go next, right? Anything that we can do that preps them about that meeting is super important. Online is a little bit different, obviously, because the members go in order. The slides are obvious as to who is going. And then the visitors get introduced after. So sometimes that can be a little bit easier. All those things before the meeting. All right. We talked about what happens before, during the meeting, right? Our introductions, explanations, we're engaging them, and then we're doing that orientation. That's all during the meeting, right? All during the meeting. If you're in person, please don't let your visitors stand alone. Make sure they're with somebody, okay? Yes, you can show them to the seat, have them put their stuff down, but then bring them into the open networking space and make sure that they're meeting people. Don't leave them alone. Same thing online. Let's not leave our visitor hosts, our visitors and guests and substitutes alone. Primary role for us is to be aware of the visitors and to help them connect. All right. Again, it's the very reason it can make them feel seen and valued and supported. So, online, that private chat to referral partners of visitors, like, hey, Joan, I see that Mike's in the room and he is a partner for you. So you might want to, chat with him a little bit, right? Again, just anything we can do to engage them and make them feel welcome. In person, that strategic seating that I'm talking about, make sure the visitors aren't all sitting in a line. Make sure that you've got members in between them so they can feel engaged and you can talk to them about what's coming next. Super important. Flawlessly executed meeting. This is a joke, of course. Not every meeting, no meeting is perfect. In fact, I love the imperfect ones the best. In my experience, we have rooms where like it's another perfect meeting, and everybody laughs, when something goes sideways, and that is really the joy of BNI, is that we've got an agenda, and yet it's really fun. Otherwise, if it wasn't fun, we definitely would not want to be there every single week. So, in the meeting, we're giving them the value of BNI. We're engaging the visitors in the chat. If we're online, we're engaging them. If we're in person, right? Making those introductions. And just, again, making sure that they are feeling welcome. All right. All during the meeting. Then we are asking them to, if we're in person, hopefully you have a separate room, that you're in a separate space that you can talk to the visitors in, right? Some of you are moving them, or online too, you're moving them before the, before the events portion of the meeting, right? One of the things that we were thinking about, and I know this is one of the reasons why some chapters are like, well, we want our visitors to hear about the events, and what we also want to do is make sure that we are aware of their time. And so if we keep them after that meeting time, that can create some challenges. So that's why I would encourage, actually, that we are taking visitors out before the events. Here's another thing that I just realized, and Cecilia, you're going to take a note on this. What I would like to do is I would like to encourage the in-person chapters to have a sheet, or if you're using, hopefully you're using the visitor host PowerPoint, or you've got it printed. I know Susan Broomall has printed some for some of you, that you have the picture of the upcoming events, and you can actually talk about that a little bit with those visitors and subs in the room. For those of you that are using like the PowerPoint, we could insert, here's our upcoming events, so that even though they're not in the room with the members, they're still getting those events. I just realized we hadn't added that to the visitor orientation, and we had talked about it. All right, so I'm going to go through visitor orientation a little bit, okay? By the way, just so that everyone is clear, okay? This visitor orientation, all the notes are in it. All the notes are in it. You don't have to come up with anything, okay? All right, so I'm going to show you visitor orientation very quickly, all right? This is how I do it in our core groups, and if I happen to be in a visitor orientation room when I'm visiting a visiting a chapter. They are absolutely listed on the agenda for certain. And sometimes it helps to to talk about them live, right? Sometimes it helps to talk about them live. BNI has done a lot of research. And one of the things that we did was we hired an outside company to do some marketing research for us. And what we found, this is not BNI people, this is a cross section of the US business professionals, is that lead generation are the top sales and marketing priorities. That's what we found. All right. Here's the other thing that we found. The most effective is referrals. Referrals is the most effective. No brainer, right? Not to say that these are not helpful. They all absolutely are. It's just we know that referrals are the best way to get really fantastic business, right? Here's the funny thing. The majority of business professionals, there's no budget allotment for it. Yeah, we know it's the most important, and yet there's no budget for it. So we want to share with you, oh my goodness, sorry about that. We want to show you the difference between referrals and leads. We really think that a lead is something you can get on your own, all right? And a referral is something that comes out of this room because we've created really fantastic relationships and we have the ability to transfer our trust to that other person. Okay? We have the ability. I have no idea why the numbers don't equal 100. So Max was asking in the percentages why they don't equal 100. And I think it's a cross section. They had 91%. I honestly, that's a great question. Let's find out. They are definitely over. They are. No one has ever asked me that question before. I will find out and we will get that back to you. Because I'm sure you're probably not. Maybe somebody asked. Maybe if somebody is going to ask it in your visitor orientation and we want to have a good answer. So great question that I can't answer and I will get. Math is hard. So true. Math is so hard. So the difference between the referrals and the leads, we create really great relationships. And so we don't want to pass leads here. We absolutely want to pass referrals. Oh my gosh, PowerPoint's making me crazy right now. All right, how BNI works. Well, it starts off with time. We have our weekly meetings. We have one-to-ones. One-to-ones are meetings outside of this room. You heard a little bit in the referral and testimonial, about those. If they happen to be here during that notable networker month, they heard about those people that have done amazing things. So you could touch on, the member that had the most one-to-ones and the benefit of those. And then training and mentoring. Most of you have been members of something and you just came in and people expected it to work. We don't do that here. We want to get you trained. We want to know that you're going to have a BNI buddy and it's going to be a very, very good place for you to build your business. And yes, it absolutely does take time. This is how the money works, right? So there's a $250 processing fee. Here are our lengths of membership. We have a 1, 2, and a 5-year. You can pay those in full if you choose, or we do have an optional payment plan. None of these fees are paid until after you apply. You go through the membership process and you make sure that our room is a good fit for you, and we make sure that you're a good fit for us. So just know we don't collect any fees up front. All right. This is where you would also talk about your chapter operating fee, right? So what is it that you pay per month in your room? You want to make sure that you share that with them too. And then you can tell them what's next. Some people want to apply right then. You can absolutely update and create a bit.ly, right? A QR code so that it takes them directly to the application. All right. But you're going to let them know that they'll get an email that'll have a link to the online application, and they'll also get a follow-up phone call. And then you can ask them if they have any questions, right? So it's really meant to be a conversation. You can share the information and then share, you know, your, you know, what your BNI story is, what you heard in the referral and testimonial. You're going to really want to make sure that you're listening intently during that referral and testimonial portion, so you can rely back to that if you happen to be the visitor orientation. But really, you saw me get through it in less than 8 minutes. So you can do it in about 8 to 10, and then answer questions for everybody. Questions on visitor orientation.
You know, I was kind of thinking, if we know who's coming and what trade they're in, get a hold of someone else in a different chapter in the same profession and see if those two could talk too.
We do that a lot. And I love that, Frank, because then they're talking to somebody that sits in the seat that does what they do.
Because I think, you know, I say it a lot. It's the only reason why I joined BNI, not the meetings, but to talk to Ray and Maricopa. That's what made me want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get contacted from members a lot from a region, and they'll say, hey, we have somebody that does such and such. Is there somebody we can connect them with? And I absolutely think that that's a huge benefit. I think the benefit is even connecting them prior to them getting in the room, and then offering that to them too, after they've seen the room. All right, we're almost done, guys. After the meeting, your follow-up phone call and the application, right? Follow-up phone call. Meeting is over. Now what? Remember, you have the opportunity to help these business owners and business professionals grow in BNI. So to increase your chapter's conversion rates, 2 things need to happen. You got to mark attendance and you got to make the phone calls. All right. Marking attendance within 24 hours of the meeting ensures that the right visitor host emails go out, right? We already had the conversation. If you don't mark them, they registered, and you do not mark them as present, guess what happens? They don't get that, right? They don't get the email. They get an email that says, we missed you. And making the phone calls just builds relationships. It does not mean you have to call them 12 times if you don't get them live and in person. Make a phone call. Thank them for coming. All right. We've got a script for that. All right. Marking attendance. Marking attendance is not difficult. It's not difficult. It is absolutely in your resource guide. Okay. It's in your resource guide. There is a brand new visitor portal. It's been around for about 1.5 years. I know that this is small. I do not expect you to be able to read it. What I will tell you is all of this information right in your checklist. All right. And it's specifically here to make the checking of the visitors very, very easy. The good old days, we used to have to input all of them. If they were registered, we still had to go through this painstaking process. This process is so easy. If they are registered, they all show up on one page, and you can click, 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 submit. So very easy. I'm going to highly encourage that you sit down with a current visitor host in your room and watch them do it. All right. Excuse me. Watch them do it. It's not difficult. Once you do it a couple of times, you'll see. All right. When attendance is marked, they get a thank you for attending email. All right. With the link to apply. That is auto-generated. Remember when we went over that sheet that had all of the contacts? It's auto-generated. Super easy. Visitors who did not attend or when attendance isn't marked get a missed you email. Okay. And an invite again. All branded with BNI, all very professional. Okay. So again, either email is triggered whether you mark attendance or if you don't mark attendance. They're going to get one or the other. All right. What about that follow-up phone call? Well, here's a script. I know. Maybe there is one person that does all the follow-up phone calls. Maybe we've split that between a couple of people. You need to communicate and just make sure that it's done. Okay. The gauge of interest, right? Did you get the link to apply? Yes, I've already applied. Awesome. Our membership committee will be in touch soon. Would you like to have a one-to-one? Lots of visitor hosts will say, I'd love to meet with you. Now, this is from BNI. I will be very honest. It's a little bit of a struggle to say, would you like to have a one-to-one when the prospective member doesn't even know what this is yet. If you want to meet with them and just chat with them about their business, great. There's no way to turn in a one-to-one with a visitor. All right. So Cecilia, if we need to, I just realized that this is one of those things that we had chatted about too. So yes, I've already applied. No, I got it, but I haven't applied. Do you have any questions? Do you want me to help you go through the application? Can I register you for the next meeting? Right? We're just checking in on them. That's it. I didn't get that email. Oh no, I'm not sure what happened. Can you verify your email address so that I can resend it? It's slide 57. Cecilia, slide 57. Right, so just a quick follow-up. And your president is calling just to thank them for being at the meeting too. Probably just leaving a message. All right, so following up, best practices, right? There are some best practices, sharing advantages of being a member, right? What's in it for them? I just think that the personal follow-up means something to a lot of people, that you cared that they were there. All right. And if they ask a question that you can't answer, it's okay. It's totally okay. Just write down the question and let them know that you'll get back to them. Just like I've done today. You all have asked some great questions that I have not been able to answer, and we'll get you those. All right. So here's what to do next. All right. Meet with your secretary, treasurer, and the team over the next 4 weeks. Meet with them, figure out what role you're going to take in the visitor host team. Read that visitor host guide. All right. Familiarize yourself with the orientation script. And then maybe get a buddy and practice the visitor orientation with somebody. So the first time you do it is not the first week of October. I am a 3-month-old member and I'm enjoying CEO interface and knowing my new business associations are bigger than I know. They are automatically. They are. Welcome to BNI, no doubt. All right. Member resources. You do not go to BNI Business Builder for member resources. Everything that you need as a visitor host is under the member resources tab when you go to bnisozona.com. bnisozona.com. So let me show you super quick. Hopefully you all have been to the website. And I'm just going to show you where it is very quickly. Everybody see our BNI Sozona site? Right up here, member resources and BNI members only. All right. There is a username and password, and then all of the documents that you are going to need are right here. All right. Currently, yes, I will get you the login credentials. I'm just showing you this page. You can go here. These are all documents. Some of them will be updated. Many of them are staying the same because nothing has changed, but you can go in and look at these documents now. Okay. Absolutely go look at them now. Oh, all right. Member resources. Your username is member, lowercase. Your password is BNI uppercase, AZ lowercase, 2024 $. By the way, this is all in the newsletter every single week too. Okay. All in the newsletter not every single week. I'm sorry, every single month. Okay. Every month. So you can go there now as members. All right. Any quick questions before we wrap things up? No wonder I couldn't log in last week. I do have a lot of new members that will say, I went to the member resources and the members only, and I put in my BNI Connect and it didn't work. Yeah, it's a separate username and password for right now. There really isn't anything we can do about that. But that's what it is.
Just a quick comment, if that's
Please.
all right. So as a business owner, I had hired a salesperson at $40,000 a year. Joined BNI for $800 a year. I've got 14 salespeople now under me that work for me without paying them. You do the math. I don't know. And I don't advertise other than BNI. Advertising, I was spending $3,000 to $5,000 a month on advertising. Yeah, I've been BNI for 12 years now and it works.
Thanks, Jeff. Anybody else? Any questions? Let's see, username, member, password. I'm gonna put everything into the chat. BNI AZ 2024 $, right, Cecilia?
Correct.
There it is. That's where you go. BNI Sozona, member resources tab, members only, username and password. All right. Tell me something good. What have you learned today, now that your brains are completely full? What have you learned today?
Can I share two things that I've learned today?
Please.
Okay, one is that like 20% of the businesses are just from visitors who like never joined. I was like, oh, it's like a lot more than I thought it would be. And also like the distinction between like the emails that are sent out to visitors after the meeting. So like it is really important that you like mark attendance correctly, so that way it reflects, you know, positively upon the chapter.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan. Yes, thank you, Dolly.
Okay, then just number one, can I tag in there, Chrissy? One of my thank you to you and the team and everybody for the, you know, the continuous support and expertise and the need for the hybrid form as well as in-person, whatever. Having been in business so long, whatever, I have lived and watched people go away that God forbid they get together in person and have something existing that understand the value of being there in person, because I personally hate businesses that do nothing and have no human being to talk to, just say, go online. I want to throw it through the wall. They have no skill or care to want to have a god darn conversation. So one of many reasons why we need BNI for everybody.
I love it. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you, Dolly. Thanks, Jana. I'm glad that you're excited to be part of the visitor team. We're excited to have you part of the team. Yep, connecting with the visitors and folks in other chapter. Here's the deal. Being a visitor host can absolutely raise your visibility. It can absolutely build your credibility, which in turn will absolutely lead to your profitability in your rooms. Please know that. All right. Cheryl, info on the guests and the substitutes that I thought I knew better, not farming out subs. All right. I appreciate that. Darla, pay attention in the chat to have something to talk to them about, like the energy they felt in the room. Awesome. Yeah, observers, right, Diane? They're different, right? And I will tell you, the definitions are so much better because this team is so much smarter than I am, and they make so much more sense this year. So I'm excited about that. Giving that visitor, guest, observer, sub a heads up as to their specific speaking role. Yep. Visitor, host in name. Yeah, right. I don't know why I just thought about that, like on the Zoom screen to assist. Yeah, so crazy. New ideas to take back to our visitor host team. I like it. Clarifying who can share and what and when they can share. Yeah, Jeffrey. Interesting to learn about all the different classifications for people that are joining the call and how they are sorted. Yeah. And then the structure with Chrissy, you know, felt a little intimidating, right? Chrissy and Cheyenne are new members. They've been members for like a minute. And so knowing you do feel better, right? Like it's okay. And you're on a team. It's going to be okay. Good. Orienter. I did create a new word. It has evolved, Deborah. I love the fact that you have seen that over the years, right? I know you're a longtime member. The hope is that it is very much more refined. And yes, Matt, please share your story. Kelly, I learned that I can have someone that does not have a business come observe so they can support my feature presentation. Definitely become a potential referral source for others in the room. Chrissy said, best takeaway. Yes. Yeah, and the difference between the visitor, the guest, the observer, big thing, right? For sure. All right, guys, it is 11:22. Please give yourself 2 chapter education units for this support team training. Please know that this Zoom training is going to be shared on that member resources tab. Once we update this PowerPoint, we have another visitor host training tomorrow afternoon, and I'm sure we're going to get other things back that are like, oh, we need to add that. So once we get this updated with all of the things, we will update the PowerPoint also into that member resources that'll be uploaded. So all really good things. So again, thank you so much for participating with me and helping me learn right alongside you. And then Susan, I learned that the visitor's attendance needs to be recorded quickly. So the sorry we missed you email doesn't go out. Yes, please, please, please do that. Please do that. All right, we end every meeting on a positive quote. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I'm really using this slide in every single training because I truly feel that every single role is the most important, and I want you all to feel that. All right. Yes, observer tents can absolutely be bought. Susan Brumall has all of those because she's typically the one that I ordered them from. So yes, absolutely. And you all definitely need those, Emily, because you all are one of our showcase chapters. And so we want to make sure that when we send them there, you can have those, be helpful for sure. You really are an essential part of your chapter's team. You know, you're not a visitor host for Chrissy, you're a visitor host for your team. You have the ability to really make a difference in your chapter. And I certainly hope that you feel that today. You know, our mission is really to impact all of the communities that we touch. And we can't do that without amazing people in our rooms like you. So I appreciate the fact that you have taken on this visitor host role. And again, just meet with your secretary treasurer, meet with your team, get to know them over the course of the next month so that you can hit the ground running on October 1st. Please share with your fellow members that you enjoyed today and you received benefit. That helps us as we move through this week for certain, and encourage all of your chapter members to make sure that they show up this week. Thank you so much for being in my room. I appreciate each and every one of you. Make it a fantastic Monday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.